Now, the European Union says economic sanctions against Zimbabwe's president and his associates will stay in place because of alleged human rights abuses and continuing concerns over political instability in the country. VOA's Chris Simkins has more on Zimbabwe's troubled political atmosphere.
It's been a year since President Robert Mugabe's ZANU-PF party and Prime Minister Morgan Tsvangirai Movement for Democratic Change signed a groundbreaking power-sharing deal. But since then, the two political rivals have been at odds over how to implement it. A VOA seminar in Washington examined why the two leaders have been unable to find common ground. Miriam Tupi, a political analyst with the Cato Institute, blames Mr. Mugabe's ZANU-PF party for widespread human rights abuses aimed at Mr. Tsvangirai's party.
Political intimidation still is going on, political violence is still going on. 29 of the members of parliament for the opposition, or for the MDC, have been thrown in jail, so there is no rule of law.
During Zimbabwe's 2008 elections, Mr. Mugabe's party was accused of using police and party loyalists to crush the opposition. Mr. Tsvangirai beat Mr. Mugabe in the first round, and his party won a majority of seats in parliament. But just before a runoff election, Mr. Tsvangirai pulled out after hundreds of his supporters were murdered, kidnapped, or tortured. Since the two leaders signed the power-sharing agreement in September 2008, they have continued to disagree over who should hold government positions. Some analysts speculate that Mr. Tsvangirai's MDC might walk away from the unity government. Briggs Bamba, a program director with Africa Action in Washington, disagrees.
So I think there's going to be a settlement because Morgan Tsvangirai needs the agreement as much as ZANU-PF needs this agreement.
Both men have been working to get economic sanctions imposed by Western nations lifted. Mr. Tsvangirai has traveled to the United States and Europe to plead for billions of dollars in aid for Zimbabwe's crippled economy. But Western countries have been slow to respond because of alleged human rights abuses by Mr. Mugabe's supporters and fears the president may renege on the power-sharing deal. Mr. Mugabe denies the allegations.
The sanctions are serving no real humanitarian purpose. They are causing lots of suffering amongst the people right at the bottom. Grassroots, they're the ones who suffer most.
A European Union delegation, after meeting this week with Mr. Mugabe, said it is not ready to lift the EU sanctions which target Mr. Mugabe and his associates. Analysts say without constitutional reforms, the political situation will likely get worse. Chris Simkins, VOA News, Washington.